You are listening to Beyond the Verse, a Star Citizen podcast. A show dedicated to Cloud Imperium games, Star Citizen, and Squadron 42. Whether you fight, explore, unite, and or trade, we bring you news, updates, interviews, reviews, and analysis. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a pour of Radegast, and join us as we go Beyond the Verse.
Launch sequence activated.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Beyond the Verse, Star Citizen podcast. I'm your host, Sulyce, and thanks for joining me about 2 weeks late. I was out of the office or out of town last week for work. I was in Seattle, Washington. Phenomenal trip. Love my coworkers, love what I do. But I was away from Star Citizen for about 2 weeks. However, I still was able to produce polls on Twitter that generated a lot of conversation, and we'll go through those responses for our From the Community segment. But let's get into this week and Beyond the Verse. So we will go through those polls. We do have our monthly show review that I love talking about you, the audience, y'all's engagement and what it means to the show. We will also get into the Triggerfish event that happened April 1st with the brand new MISC Raptor that I can't wait to talk to you about. Last week we had phase 2 of XenoThreat, so we'll go over that quickly. We'll go over this week's phase 3 XenoThreat, how it compares to last year. We'll go into the April subscriber flare. We'll go into the roadmap updates, Jumptown and its release kind of overlapping with XenoThreat and what that feels like and what that means. An update to the Evocati patch build that has a lot of conversation stirred up in the community. And then, of course, CitizenCon got its drop. I'm not going, sad day, but it's still good information for you. And like always, we will wrap up this show with Inside Star Citizen's Maps and Apps, which was absolutely phenomenal. Can't wait to watch it with you. Can't wait to respond. So I'm not even sure like how far back I want to go. 2 weeks ago, I recorded on, what was that, Thursday the 21st, or I guess Friday morning the 22nd. We had phase 2 drop. Yeah, we had phase 2 drop. And so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I hit phase 2 hard. Me and a couple of other individuals from Soul Provision got together. We knocked out that event. Over that same weekend, I saw Dune. It's freaking amazing. Go see it if you haven't seen it already. And if you have an IMAX that is close to your area, go watch it on IMAX. Do yourself that favor. It is one of the better movies I've seen since, Lord of the Rings, probably that epic grand scale. I think Dune comes pretty close to matching that scale. So go watch it. Awesome. And like I said last week, I was in Seattle, worked for Amazon. I think everybody knows that at this point. But had a really great week. Very interesting. I got to dabble in our internal AI tool called Cedric. And it was, I don't know. I feel like my job as a senior product manager is like right out the window. I can do what normally takes me like 3-4 hours. I can do in 10 minutes. You just upload raw data and say, hey, generate an executive summary, and the thing spits it out. So kind of nerding out from a work perspective. It was really fun last week. But a lot of stuff happened. Right? A lot of stuff happened, a lot of drops, a lot of fauna updates. Guys, we're getting fauna in patch 323. That's incredible. We will not recognize Star Citizen after 323. And I think I kind of want to get into that just real quick since we're on the topic. I'm probably the only person, the only backer for Star Citizen who's getting a little nostalgic. Like once this game runs smoothly and we're 4.0 with Pyro, or we're 1.0, which is the live version, I don't know, I'm going to miss the elevators killing me. I'm going to miss glitching through my ship and ending up in the middle of Stanton. I say that, but then I go back to 318 and I'm like, hell no. I don't want to go backwards. But the fun, the chaos, the living in the suck, I feel like we're getting close to the end. Let's get into from the community. We'll talk more about those themes later on in the show, but from the community, first and foremost, sharing my screen for those of you on YouTube, I published the March monthly show review. And again, this is not about me and our performance at Beyond the Verse. This is more about you, the listener, the viewer. So back in March, we celebrated our 1 year of Beyond the Verse production. And that has yielded 19.4 thousand listens and 1.7 thousand hours viewed across more than 58 countries. So I put it in the tweet that you're seeing on my screen, but I am so blessed. We are so blessed to have you as part of the Star Citizen fam. So you see the numbers. You can call it proud. I'm proud of these numbers, if you will. But again, this is a celebration of our community that we've built. I am one person. I might be the catalyst, but it is about you and soul provision. So this is just incredible. I want to celebrate with you as I do once a month. Yes, and as we're on this topic of celebrating you, the next screen I'm sharing, you are able to support this podcast by going into Spotify and becoming a quote-unquote supporter. And we have 8 of them. I just want to go through the names real quick and just publicly recognize Dustin Thames, Will Spicer, Dakota Riley, Brandon Lawhorn, Marcus Roy. Please correct me in the comment section. Jacob Hardeen, Captain Trips, and Dreamer of Days. So again, that's a blessing. That is money, disposable income coming out of your pocket, saying I want to help in the production value, the pre and post production value of Beyond the Verse podcast. So thank you so much. We also have a lot of Discord backers, and of course that money goes towards the community and our ability to have high quality volume or high quality audio, high quality video, which is obviously important for a podcast. So you're supporting the podcast, yes, but that is more about the community's soul provision. So thank you for anyone and everyone who supports the podcast or the community in that way. All right, like I said at the top of this podcast, I went crazy with the polls. So I'm just going to go through the polls and we'll talk about this. We'll talk about each one. As you can see my screen that I'm sharing, we've got many tabs open. We're going to try to get through this pretty quickly. I have to conduct an interview at work at 10 o'clock, which is in 2 hours. So we're gonna go hot and heavy. Here we go. The first post. This was back on March 25th. So again, I think I recorded March 22nd. So this was like day one of my travel. So this poll got 5.5 thousand views with almost 900 votes, a lot of attention, but the question was asked, what is speaking more to you at this current moment in your journey with Star Citizen? And tell us why in the comments. And it was the patch 323 updates, the replication layer, static server meshing, and the potential upcoming of 4.0, which is Pyro. I felt this was a very thought-provoking poll because there's a lot going on right now, right? The Evocati has been testing the replication layer and static server meshing, and they are now testing patch 323. There's a lot going on, and us non-Evocati are just kind of stand by, like we're passerbys. We're standing by. I don't know what descriptor I'm trying to use here, but we're just kind of viewing, right? What's happening, spectating. There we go. It's coming. It's coming, guys. It's been 2 weeks. Give me a break. So we're just kind of spectating and hearing through the grapevine on all these things, and we're hearing great things. And what is coming out at Inside Star Citizen, what they are willing to produce, it is getting everybody super, super excited. So here are the results. Again, you're already seeing them if you're watching. But in first place, patch 323 updates. That was 45.7% of the vote. And that patch 323 is like everything. It is the massive overhaul I was referencing at the top of the podcast. That is everything. That's a brand new user interface. We're not going to recognize Star Citizen when this drops. The functionality, the interactive menus, and again, I'm going to go back to user interfaces. It's going to be incredible. It's going to actually feel like a 2024 video game. Can't wait for that. In second place, the static server meshing at 30.6%. Third place, upcoming 4.0, which is Pyro, 20.3%. And then in last place, replication layer at 3.5%. And again, I think that is very, it played out exactly how I thought it was going to. Static server meshing is important because of the transition from Stanton to Pyro. Stanton's going to be on a server, Pyro's going to be on a server, but this journey between the two is going to be seamless, right? So there's your static server meshing. That is important. Players are going to feel that experience, but what they're not going to feel is the replication layer. If the replication layer is working 100% fully optimized, you're never going to know, because you're going to have like a little bit of a glitch, a little bit of a tick when that's the shards going in and out or the servers dropping. But the replication layer is kind of it's the safety net. It's keeping everything going until the servers are back online, and then it'll snap you back into playing. So again, if the replication layer is working, if the servers don't crash, you will never see that. I expect that to be 3.5%. And then of course the upcoming 4.0 Pyro. Yeah, I mean, I personally can't wait for Pyro. It's going to be amazing. Here's my unpopular opinion with this one. It's just more of the same. Ooh, don't hate me. Don't cancel me. But when I say it's more the same, it's obviously new locations to explore, and there's like in that sense, the exploration, the visuals, the aesthetics, it's all new, but it's not introducing anything as far as new game loops or anything that's really going to drive org play, etc. Now, Soul Provision will figure out ways to incorporate Pyro, and it's going to be fun. But it's just another Stanton with new makeup. But I can't wait for it. That's going to be super important because of what it means to the overall game, the drive towards Star Citizen 1.0 Live. So it's super important in that sense. But it'll just be fun to kind of escape and go to a different version of Stanton. And it's completely different aesthetically. I mean, I would think like fire, smoke, solar flares, as opposed to Stanton, which is like almost like an oasis. Leave Hurston out of that descriptor, but it's like an oasis. Everything's beautiful and shiny. So very cool first question. Let's get moving on to the second question. Here we go. This was March 28th. 692 views, only 70 votes, or 69 votes. The question was, Inside Star Citizen Lens and Visor. Today is the next installment of Inside Star Citizen, discussing all things Lens and Visor updates coming in 3.23. What are you most excited about? And what I did is I took the choices from the monthly report status update, specifically about the Lens and Visor. So I had a couple questions in the comment section that's like, hey, what about XYZ? This was taken directly from, I think at the time, February's monthly report. But it was priority notifications, mission objectives, chat, performance and flexibility. In first place, performance and flexibility at 68.1%, mission objectives 20.3%, priority notifications at 7.2%, and chat at 4.3%. A lot of it kind of coincides, right? A lot of it is kind of, I would bucket all three of those into performance and flexibility. So it might have been a broken poll, or at least a pretty easy one to answer, but the priority notifications, mission objectives, and chat are all in the Lens and Visor updates. So it's going to be like probably one of the main changes to Star Citizen, because that's what you see and interact with the moment you log into the game to the moment that you log out, and how you access the star map, how you access really all the apps that we'll get into at the end of this podcast. It's all through this Lens and Visor setup. So can't wait for that. Moving on to the next question. Keep rolling. Here is March 29th, 900 views, 114 votes. Question: with the Star Citizen video drop of the fauna yesterday, do you think we'll get that quality in 3.23, or a cluster of T-posing birds and cows half submerged in the planet? All right, so a couple of days before March 29th, it was probably March 28th, they dropped a video. CIG dropped a video, and it shows basically like a bird. Please excuse my descriptions here, but it's, I don't know, a bird, pterodactyl, whatever you want to call it. But a bird like flew towards the mouth of a cave, and coming out of the cave was this cow-looking thing. I don't know. Horrible descriptions. I'm not here to describe things. Actually, that's exactly what I'm here for as a podcaster, but moving on. So they come out and they're obviously in the world. They interact with each other. It was a quick 10-15 second video, and it got the whole community burning, right? Like, oh my God, Fauna, this is crazy. And they confirmed dropping with 323. That is pretty awesome. However, even I, as White Knight and positive as I am, even I have my doubts about it coming out in 323. And will they be clipped into the planets? Will they be glitching through caves? Will you be flying and all of a sudden like some cow is levitating in the sky and you freaking ram your Drake Corsair into it and your fan goes off and blood's everywhere? Clearly I haven't thought about this, but I kind of expect the latter. Like, I expect there to be pure chaos given the state of NPCs at this current moment. So I wanted to ask what the community thought. And so the two responses were, yeah, yesterday's video quality, absolutely, it's going to be pristine and perfect. Or the current state of NPCs. And of course, the current state of NPCs won 79.8% of that 114 votes. And yesterday's video quality, 20.2%. That's pretty telling. Hey, question about the aliens or the fauna. So with persistent entity streaming, server meshing, dynamic server meshing, all the above, could you take a ship full of space cows and deliver them to a city, like drop them on top of Area 18, and they are there forever? I have questions, CIG. I have questions. Where do we go from here? Okay, next question. April 2nd, 2,000 views, 161 votes. My question was XenoThreat so far, and this is perfect because last episode was XenoThreat Part 1. This is XenoThreat Part 2. So this is a very good question for us to kind of tie the two together. But this is after Phase 3 dropped. My question was, which mission has been your favorite? And tell us why in the comments. So obviously Phase 1 is Intel Raid, Phase 2 is Priority Targets, and Phase 3 is XenoThreat Incursion. And here's the breakdown, and I'm actually pretty shocked by this. But in first place was Phase 1, Intel Raid, 49.1%. That doesn't shock me, right? That doesn't shock me at all. Number 2 was Phase 3, the one that's currently out right now, XenoThreat Incursion, at 38.5%. And then in last place, Phase 2, Priority Targets, 12.4%. So quickly, overall, XenoThreat, to me and our organization, Sole Provision, it has been a phenomenal experience. It has been an incredible PvE experience. And honestly, when we interact with other players, it doesn't come to a PvP nonsense. Like, it's been a very, very great experience for all of us. It's very collaborative. It's very teamwork heavy. When we were able to, we got 10, 15 people in one fire team, but the last 2 phases, we had to break up into 2 different fire teams, and just coordination. It's been very fun. It's been a very fun exercise to see how organizations were going to play and handle XenoThreat. So I've loved every single phase. I'm a fanboy for this event, right? This dynamic event. It's been a lot of fun. Intel Raid, I agree with Intel Raid being the best. That's Phase 1 because of everything that it involves, right? It involves flying to an objective, potentially taking a ground asset to that objective. And when you're there, there's FPS combat. There's team coordination. You can't do it solo. Maybe you can. Maybe there's some hero out there that has, but I'm pretty damn sure you have to at least have 2 maybe 3 players, to monitor the computer, to get that code that's hanging on the wall or the LCD screens. It's just a very involving phase, and it does put you everywhere in Stanton. I think the 5 that I had to do, it took me to all 4. Well, I don't remember R.A.P.T.O.R. I remember Microtech, I remember Hurston, and I remember Crusader. I don't remember going to R.A.P.T.O.R. Regardless, it took us all around Stanton, so we got to see a lot of the game. I can't even imagine what that's going to feel and look like when Pyro comes out. So that's going to be exciting to expand the scope of those dynamic events. Phase 2, and maybe I do agree with the polls now that I think about it. Because like phase 2 was priority targets, and again, I rushed through that. Like I said at the top of the podcast, I had to do it quickly because I was leaving for Seattle. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I went in there, I did some solo, I partnered with some of our officers in Soul Provision and knocked out what I could, and did. I finished by Sunday. But you can easily solo those. And they're small little fire teams that you're having to go up against. It's like maybe, I don't think I ever had to do a Hammerhead or an Idris or anything big like that. But it was maybe Redeemers. I'm trying to remember back to 2 weeks. I think regardless, just small fire teams that you could easily pick apart yourself. Now here's the dynamic here. And this is personally why I liked it better than phase 3, the one that's currently out. I liked blowing up a ship, the main ship, and then having to EVA out towards the destruction to find a small little thumb drive, right? Small little computer chip. And then you'd have to take that computer chip to a Lagrange site to turn it in. So again, more involving. There's a flight aspect, and there's, I guess you can call it an FPS aspect. But going to, I think they're all Hurston for me, but going to Hurston and having to find the her L3, I think, Lagrange site, and just being all over that side of the map. Again, having to EVA, walk around the Lagrange sites, which I don't normally visit. That's not really my play style or the game loops. They don't take me to Lagrange sites. So I liked the diversity of priority targets. And then you have this current one, XenoThreat, the XenoThreat incursion. And this one to me is it's, and I feel bad because we just did the org night last night and I had a blast. So I don't want to completely trash on it, but it was very monotonous, right? There's 5 waves of 24 enemy. There's a couple hammerheads there, but you don't even have to kill the hammerheads. There's enough waves of small vehicles where you can just hit 24 vehicles, like smaller vehicles, and you're done. But it was rinse and repeat. And they were all, most of them, 4 out of the 5 waves were all in the yellow asteroid belt for me. And then the final one was randomly off in Hurston. So I was able to do all 5 of mine solo and within like an hour and a half before org night. I'm kind of hoping there's a phase 4. And we're going to know if there's a phase 4. In fact, hold on, because I did this last time. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now. And I am sharing my screen so you're seeing everything. Here we go. I'm going into Star Citizen's website. I just want to make sure that y'all are getting the latest and the greatest. So there's CitizenCon. Again, we'll talk about that here in a second. And CitizenCon on Comlink. So no, it is not live yet. Maybe there is a phase 4, maybe not. But again, XenoThreat will take us all the way to Invictus launch week. So I'm thinking there might be a phase 4. Stand by for that. We'll see. Moving on. We have 2 more questions. All right, so this was asked April 4th. This was yesterday. 719 views, 110 votes. It was the Inside Star Citizen Moby Glass and Star Map updates on this afternoon's. Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. This was before, because Inside Star Citizen's episode is called Maps and Apps, but I called it Moby Glass and Star Map updates because I asked Thursday morning. So in preparation. My bad. On this afternoon's ISC, we will hear much more about the highly anticipated 323 features of improved Moby Glass and Star Map features. Which interests you more, and tell us why in the comments. So the 2 are obviously Moby Glass and Star Map. In Star Map 1, 85.5% of the votes. Moby-Glass came in at 14.5% of the votes. And that is very obvious. Star Map is one of the most painful things about playing Star Citizen. One of them, not the one of them. So solving that is going to be infinitely better for the community. And we're going to get into the video at the end of the podcast. Stand by for that. But there is so much to get excited about. All I'm going to say is the searchability, for like searching locations and finding out what is at that location just from your star map. That is a game changer. That could literally be the only thing that drops in 323, and I would be happy. Call me happy. All right, here we go. The last question was actually asked again. I had the second one for April 4th. That was yesterday. This one blew up. So 1.7k views, 174 votes. This is Jumptown versus XenoThreat. And so I'm kind of prepping the podcast because a lot of these themes we're going to discuss here in a little bit. But Jumptown versus XenoThreat. With the start of Jumptown 2.1 today, which was Thursday, overlapping with the existing XenoThreat phases, we are curious, which do you like more? And tell us why in the comments. So obviously Jumptown versus XenoThreat, 81% voted for XenoThreat, 19% voted for Jumptown. And again, I would have to agree with this. Phase 1 and Phase 2 of XenoThreat are better than Jumptown. But Jumptown is flight, ground, FPS, whereas Phase 3 of XenoThreat is just flight. So in that order, Phase 1, XenoThreat, Phase 2, XenoThreat, Jumptown, Phase 3, XenoThreat, in my opinion, for all the reasons we've already discussed. All right, I feel like I need to take like a minute break. That was a long, like 20 minutes of Q&A. So our polls. But I really like that engagement because again, I've always, since episode 1, I've always been more about community, what you think, and me just being this, this megaphone for you and your voice. So utilizing Twitter to do that, I think I'm onto something. I think as long as my questions are relevant, it helps kind of color the day. It helps kind of paint, the things that are happening. And it's more about your voice than me just content creating at you. So I hope the sentiment is shared. I hope you are into it just as much as I have been. Give me a second while I get a drink as we get into this week in Star Citizen. Holy shit, that's hot. Oh my God. Okay, guys. So I used to record Thursday nights, and it was all about bourbon, right? Y'all remember I used to have like bourbon segments at the beginning. So I was used to drinking bourbon during podcasts, and now I'm doing this like mocha cinnamon nonsense from a Keurig machine. Completely forgot, and it just burnt the crap out of my mouth. I record live. So here we go. This week in Star Citizen, here we go. Happy Tuesday, everyone. We hope you all enjoyed the holiday. The team is making progress in Alpha 323's preparation to get it into your hands as soon as possible. A build of 323 went out to Evocati over the weekend, and we hope to open up access to larger PTU testing waves very soon. The Civilian Defense Force's battle against XenoThreat continues as the Overdrive Initiative enters Phase 3. As the Intel team decodes and uncovers more of XenoThreat's plan, new assignments will be issued to further fight back against the XenoThreat incursion. Keep an eye on your Moby-Glass for the next steps, including information about potential new rewards. What the crap does that mean? Keep an eye on your Moby-Glass for next steps, including information about potential new rewards. Anywho, also, in case you missed it, the latest offering from MISC is now available, the R.A.P.T.O.R. It's a vehicle that is sure to sweep you off your feet, so don't brush off the announcement. We'll talk about that here in a second. And then here's the bullet list of the content schedule for this week. Again, by the time you're listening, it's all over. So this is more of a recap of what happened in week 14. Are we in week 14 or week 15? We're in week 14. Yes. All right. So Tuesday, This Week in Star Citizen. Wednesday, Roadmap Roundup, Roadmap Update. Thursday, Inside Star Citizen, CitizenCon Info Drop, Jumptown reopens. And then Friday, the RSI Weekly Newsletter. There is no Star Citizen Live today. Okay. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So April 1st happens. And we get this bombshell of an amazing ship that just dropped, a ground asset vehicle that I think everyone should get. Because Stan's dirty as shit. I don't know how many times you log into the game and you're actually at a city and you get out of your hab and you're walking through the city and no one has picked up their crap. There are boxes everywhere, uniform parts everywhere, slobs. You are a slob. Get the MISC Raptor so you can help clean up the galaxy. And for those of you on YouTube, you're seeing what I'm looking at, but it's a street sweeper. Absolutely. And this thing is freaking epic. Let's go to the article. It's a filthy galaxy. Someone's got to clean it up. This galaxy we call home is absolutely filthy, dirty, disgusting. The fetid... Some of these words that they choose, the fetid steaming waste of humanity just keeps piling up. It's relentless, ceaseless, never ending. It's no secret that that this nasty galaxy needs heroes, now more than ever. Heroes willing to get their hands dirty, to get knee deep in filth and clean up the joint. So we built the Raptor specifically for you. Now there's nothing standing between you and an immaculate, sparkling future. What are you waiting for? Get out there and clean up the galaxy's act. It's time for a video.
Finally, an instant classic made to reflect you. The heroes this galaxy needs. Persistent, eternal, sanitary. None other exists.
Reclamation and personal transportation of rubbish. That's what Raptor stands for. Yeah. So that video is amazing. Can't wait to clean it up. Man, you got this picture, this infographic here that talks about, 2 times the S7 industrial scrubbers. So those are your turret operators. Cleaning up trash. This is great standalone option. You got this little button to click and buy a standalone option for $50. 50. 3 paint jobs for additional $5 each paint. Just for this to happen. You click add to cart. Haha! They got you. They didn't get me. I'm just going to go on record and say it didn't happen to me. I'm like, there's no way in hell that they have created a street sweeper when there's no streets to drive on. Really think about it. Think about it. There are no streets to drive on. Maybe you could take this out, drop it at a racetrack, but even then, most of the racing, I don't know. This very obvious, but they created this. Actually, I'll correct what I'm about to say in a second, but they created this for an April Fool's joke, for an event, in-game event they call Happy Triggerfish or Triggerfish. It's their in-game April Fool's joke. And a couple years ago, they did a dating app. You heard about it from Galactica on one of our earlier episodes. Go check out that episode with Galactica. But there were dating apps. Of course, that's not a thing. So expect April 1st to always produce something stupid. But if you haven't clicked on go to cart or add to cart, go click add to cart, because doing so will give you a Spectrum badge I think it's called Swept Up. It'll give you a title called Swept Up or something along those lines, but you quote unquote got fooled. I just wanted the Spectrum badge, so I'm sharing in the love there. I don't remember which CIG developer said this on socials. I'm pretty sure it was Tyler Whitkin, but this actually is an in-game asset. Not for Star Citizen. Of course, we don't see it when we fly around cities. It's not in the current build of Star Citizen, but this is an actual asset that exists. It's not player driven, but I'm imagining it's probably around in Squadron 42. But it is an actual asset, and who knows? Maybe we'll find this, not Invictus launch week. It ain't a military vehicle, but who knows? You might find this in our hangars at some point. I would still buy it because I'm stupid. How's that? So what is Triggerfish? I'm just going to tell y'all what the event is. You know me, I love lore. So let's dive really quick into Galactopedia. Triggerfish is a human holiday celebrated annually in the United Empire of Earth on 1st April, or on 01 April. Those who observe it play pranks and jokes on one another or participate in hoaxes, shouting Triggerfish once a jape is complete. Though the holiday has origins stretching as far back as the 16th century, nice, it first began to be called Triggerfish in the 2600s, when it became tradition for residents of Borea, Magnus II, to try and convince visitors that a secret fourth planet named Triggerfish existed in the Magnus system. Some outlaws would give victims coordinates to the planet, only to ambush them once they arrived. It sounds horrible. To put an end to this dangerous practice, the UEE launched an information campaign refuting the claim that Triggerfish existed. This spread the name outside its system of origin. Triggerfish became a nickname for a gullible person, and the name became the most common way to refer to the holiday. So there you go. I hope that helps. Go click add to cart, get yourself that badge, and never trust CIG on April 1st ever again. Okay, here we go. We did already talk through XenoThreat, the Overdrive Initiative Phase 2 and 3. We did talk about that at the top of the podcast, going through the polls that I asked on Twitter. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through this, but I do want to highlight just where we are currently at. I missed the ability to talk about Phase 2, so real quick. Mission 2 priority targets. Well done, recruits. Significant data was seized during the intel raids. However, XenoThreat are using a sophisticated encryption system that we can't decipher. The CDF is now tasked with hunting down high-ranking XenoThreat members and recovering their digital keys so we can uncover more about their plans. Open your mobiGlass and accept the Overdrive Initiative priority targets mission to get started. So again, that was a shitload of fun. We are now in Mission 3, Overdrive Initiative, XenoThreat Incursion. The good news is the recovered decryption keys worked, and we have eyes on XenoThreat's immediate plans. The bad news is they involve localized attacks around the system. Get the drop on the attackers and take them out before they can do any real harm. Open your mobiGlass and accept the Overdrive Initiative XenoThreat Incursion mission to get started. So there are currently 3 missions. There are probably 5 phases to each mission. And again, we are all out to get the F7 Hornet Mark II upgrade to the F7 Alpha. And in order to get the F7 Alpha, you need to complete all of the Overdrive initiatives. So that's why I'm doing it. That's why my organization is doing it, beyond just having a good time together, of course. But this grand prize at the end of it all is the F7A, the upgrade. So do it. All right. I think there's going to be a phase 4. I think there's going to be a phase 4 and a phase 5. And let me tell you why. Because there's a fight back. If you remember last year, you got your ass handed to you by XenoThreat, but there was a fight back where you had to go to this place. I think it was like in the northeast part of the star map, like around Microtech. But you had to go there. You had to like fill the Jericho, right? I forgot the UNNE Jericho, that the massive carrier. You had to fill it up with supplies, so you had to go and like get a bunch of supplies and deliver them. And then the end all event was like you versus a crapload of Idrises. So I think I think that's still going to happen. I think there's a phase 4, which is going to be a supply for a fight back, and then the actual fight back. So a 4 and a 5. That's my prediction. So we'll see what happens. Pretty damn sure I'm right, but we'll see what happens. All right. Like I said, we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about XenoThreat. We did earlier in the podcast. Let's actually go to April's subscriber flare and stand by. We've got the roadmap roundup, Jumptown quickly that we'll go through, the current Evocati build at the for patch 323, CitizenCon updates, and then yes, we'll end with Inside Star Citizen. So let's go. April subscriber flare. You always wanted a water bottle, right? Well, now you get one. Cool. So here we are. Beautiful picture. Shows everything that you could possibly get in the subscriber flare for this April time frame. But you're looking at it. You're looking at a water bottle, a little, I don't know. I would still call this a water bottle. A furnace, maybe? Whatever the small thing is called. We'll get into it here in a second. But your Centurion gets to fly the hull A, and then your Imperator gets to fly both the hull A and the hull C, which is great because in patch 323, distribution centers comes out, cargo hauling is going to come out, the whole series is going to be relevant for the first time. So that and a couple of paint jobs. Let's get into it. Spring has sprung, and we're kicking off the season with the backbone of the verse, the industrious MISC or MISC hull series. Throughout April, Centurion subscribers can haul heavy loads with the iconic hull A, while Imperator subscribers can tackle the biggest jobs in Stanton with the gargantuan hull C. This month's flare is a collection of paints for MISC's ubiquitous haulers, along with exclusive water bottles to keep you cool on long-distance delivery runs. For my listeners who know I despise Drake, you'll be happy to know that I took the water canteens, and they are sitting inside a Drake Corsair. So in the Drake Corsair, the kitchenette area, there's like a tray in the kitchenette area. Behind it is this flask. If you didn't know about it, you can actually pick up that flask and put it in your inventory. Well, on that tray, I put the 2 water bottles. And sure as shit, they are still there today. Got to love persistent entity streaming. Gotta love it. Moving on. Here we go. In-game rewards flare. Here's your the Adventurer's Coloration and Hydration Pack. So this is Centurion members. You get that orange tumbler. It looks like an orange tumbler. It says Magnus 4 Tourism Board. Kind of cool. I actually love these items. The Objects team does amazing at CIG. Yes, you can talk about its irrelevance, but they are so much fun and so cool to kind of play around with and just have, right? In my opinion. The paint job, I'll just read the paint, but featuring a color scheme that's vibrant blue on the top and a vivid orange on the bottom. The Bombora livery gives the whole a strikingly distinct look. Not my personal color scheme. The blue kind of reminds me of like a 1920s blue, like your old school baby blue. And the orange is like your industrial orange. So not my personal color combination. But let's go to the Imperator level. I like these color schemes just a little better. It's still the Bombora livery, so it just looks different. It looks brighter, maybe. The whole A's look dull and the whole C's looks brighter. So maybe it is better, like actually in game. It's still not my personal, color scheme. But that little canteen, it's funny. I'm going to read it to you. But the Quantanium water bottle, it's like a small little, like the size of your hand. When you're holding it in game, it's like the size of your hand. But I don't know. I think it's cool. A lot of details are in this water bottle. Quote, make others believe you have the ability to tap into the awesome power of Quantanium with this novelty water bottle. Unscrewing the lid produces an eerie blue glow that will make others truly wonder what you've got inside. It's pretty badass. I love that. Let's get into the store. So the store has the Trailblazer liveries for both the whole A and the whole C. This is more my color scheme. It's like a gray on top and a red on the bottom, but they're dark. And again, I like the dark colors more than the bright shiny colors. So it's almost like a military dark gray. It doesn't look metallic. It looks matted. And then the bottom red is like this crimson dark red. So I much prefer this color scheme for the whole C and the whole A. Okay. Let's talk about costs, I guess. The hydration pack is $750. Well, let's see here. The Adventurer's Coloration and Hydration Pack is $750. The Adventurer's Coloration and Hydration Pack, what's the difference between the two? Oh, the whole A. Got it. So sorry. The whole A pack, or the Centurion pack, is $750. The Imperator, or the whole C pack, is $1450. There we go. Combine them both and you can save money. The whole A and C Trailblazer paint pack is $1360. There we go. Good God. I fumbled through the end of that one. So overall, I'm okay with this month. I actually love the whole C. Soul Provision's like main ship will be the whole E, the whole Echo, when that capital ship comes out. So I kind of love the direction of the whole C. I want it to work. I still have issues flying it around and still like just operating it as a ship. But as you follow my socials, a couple of weeks ago, I just went crazy with screenshots and just flying the whole C completely deployed, like the wings extended and everything, with the yellow asteroid belt and Crusader behind, in the background. I don't know. It's a very, very beautiful ship that's in a certain shape of something. Very Austin Powers. I'll leave it there for this podcast. Roadmap Roundup. Let's go. Roadmap Roundup, Jumptown, Evocati build, CitizenCon, Inside Star Citizen. All right, stand by. Quickly, here we go. Notable changes for April 3rd, the release view. Here we go. It is official. In 323.0, so the very first release of 323, we're getting fauna. The first one's called Copion. The second one's called the Marok. I'm gonna say Marok. And then a new mission that's actually hunting these creatures. So here we go, the Copion. Populating the persistent universe with the Copion. I'm gonna go with Copion until I hear differently. An aggressive, agile animal that travels in packs. You'll find them in a variety of areas, from grassy fields to lurking in the darkness of caves. The Marok, populating the persistent universe with the Marok, a passive flying bird-like creature. Maroks live in flocks and are often found near lush green environments. And then this new mission, creature hunting. It requires players to locate, kill, and retrieve valuable parts of creatures roaming the environment. I don't know, y'all. It is going to be so much fun to see the universe populated. I can't wait. The game's already beautiful. I just want them to work. I am concerned with the quality of fauna that we'll be getting. Again, the video looks great, but what version of NPC are we getting? Right? I'm going to stop there. The following cards have been added to release view, targeting a 323.x release. So this means at some point between 323 and 324, we'll be getting vehicle modularity. Yes. Implementing the ability to swap modular sections of certain vehicles to change their function. This initial release contains the torpedo and cargo room modules for the Aegis Retaliator, with additional modules and vehicles to be added in the future. You know what this means? This means the Galaxy is right around the corner. The Galaxy is like the modular ship. It was built around the idea of modularity. We're close, guys. We are close. And then the Aegis Retaliator Gold Standard. Updating the Aegis Retaliator to Gold Standard, including the introduction of modular rooms. The torpedo and cargo rooms will be available in this initial release, with more to come in the future. So, get the Aegis Retaliator either... We can't get it now because it's not available, but get it before Invictus Launch Week or at Invictus Launch Week. Get it before the price increases, because once the modularity turns on and you're able to change the ship base to whatever, it's going to increase in cost. So get the base Retaliator. I think it's $150. Get it while you can, because it's going to increase in value very quickly. But I am so excited about the vehicle modularity, because that means the Idris, the Galaxy, the Endeavor. The Endeavor is built around modularity. So it's going to be super, super exciting. Jumptown. I always go quickly through Jumptown. Nothing's changed, right? Nothing's changed. But what I do go through is the schedule. So if you are a first-time listener, first-time viewer, first off, welcome in. Love you already. Jumptown is a PvP event that puts the entire server in one location to either be good or bad. You either go and you like get the drugs away from this site and turn them in, get money, or you go on to the illegal site where you're taking all the drugs to Grimhex and you're selling them there at Grimhex. So, and of course that forces PvP play. And honestly, like, I don't know, the biggest org wins usually. So like if you have an org like 15 or 20 individuals, you're going to stand there for 2 hours or however long you play. Again, I'm not belittling Jumptown. I'm not taking anything away from Jumptown. I'm just saying that's basically the essence of what Jumptown is. But I do go through the schedule, right? So each time listed represents a location change, and each location runs approximately 23 hours. And it's April 4th, so yesterday, to April 15th. So we have 10 days of Jumptown. And it looks like it's all changing at 11 a.m. Central. So it says, 9 a.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. UTC. I personally am in Austin, Texas, so I convert everything to Central. So at 11 a.m. Central, the location changes. So if you're going to do a reconnaissance and surveillance like I do for Sole Provision, I usually go at 11:30, 12 o'clock. I go find out where it's at. I kind of get a lay of the land, and I communicate it to my org. So they know what to expect for that day and where to plan or how to plan. Let's go into the 14 ships that are available as well. You have the A2 Hercules, you have the Ares Inferno, the Ares Ion, the Arrow, the C2 Hercules, the C8R Pisces, the Corsair, the Nox, the Prowler, the Saber, the Spartan, the Storm Alpha Alpha, the Valkyrie, and back to the A2. Where's the M2? So I saw the A2, I saw the C2, C2's cargo. Why would you not drop the M2? And the only reason why I call that out is because yesterday during Org Night, one of our org members called it out. But the M2 is not here. Neither is the Retaliator. So my idea of getting the Retaliator before Invictus launch week, probably not going to happen. But get it during Invictus launch week. I think it comes with 10 years, 120 months, or 10 years of insurance. So get it. And there you go. Jumptown. Really quick, the special upgrade... the upgrade, Warbond upgrade special is the Asperia Prowler. I'm still going to tell you to hold off on the Prowler. It's very glitchy. Looks cool. It's fun to fly. I would just hold off. Excuse me. All right. The Evocati build. This dropped yesterday. So this is the hot off the press, the latest and greatest for what is happening in the EPTU. They are testing patch 323. And long story short, what they're testing: stability, which is the main focus, full character customizer, Mobi-Glass rework, the star map, interior map, mini map, the EVA version 2, the new loot screen, new visor lens, full FPS combat refactor, backpack reloading, ammo repooling, dynamic crosshair, physical shopping UI, new oriented commander features, which is the grav racing, right? Grav Royale, new racetracks, and new Pirate Swarm final wave. So what is not being tested right now is master modes. Everybody hates that. I don't know why. I think it's whatever. I talked about it in the last episode. PIE, PIS, and the default is the personal interactive system. And default items, actions, instant hangars, and freight elevators. I wish that was being tested. It scares me. I hope it comes out in 323.0. Hauling missions, reputation-based hostility, and more. And the last, the features and gameplay, the locations, water, render, polish, pass. Yes, I want better quality water, because if you fly above water right now, you can see the squares like of repetition. Like you can see the digital squares. But this says push default water near clip out from 2 centimeters to 5 centimeters. Support caustic shading down to a depth of 1 kilometer in oceans. It was 25 meters. Made further performance optimizations. The water is going to be phenomenal. And I think that is also horrific. It's also horrific. So if you're flying like through dark clouds on the dark side of a planet, you can't really tell the difference between where the dark clouds stop and where the ocean starts. It frightens me. Moving on, AI added new Merrick. I got to figure out how to say that. Merrick idle animations, updated fitness AIs, and new Babbage's commons with new exercise behavior. That's cool. Gameplay, updated star map textures with higher res versions and polish, unify the UI overlay for star map and interior map, change the mouse scroll wheel back to be based on movement and not weapon select. I'm losing my ability to talk. Ships and vehicles, the Freelancer component pass, the polish and inclusions of Freelancer series component, doors, and animations. Then a whole bunch of changes with bugs and technical fixes. So the Evocati build is never like the end all be all, right? Like I know that sounds like a CIG post, but there are significant changes that happen between the Evocati build, the PTU, and then live. So we can't necessarily take it as gospel, and you should ignore all content creators who are Evocati when they talk about their experiences in Evocati, because it's what I have learned is that they are not authorities to speak on this subject. Because what happens is they say something and it's literally the opposite when it comes out, because they are purposely, not they, CIG is purposely throwing things in, making systems break because they're having to test stability, they're having to try new things. And so when people come out saying 323 is not ready to come out, it's so broken, you should ignore them. You should absolutely ignore them, and you should then start discrediting them because they should know better. I just want to go on record. They should know better. The Evocati build is there to test and break things on purpose. It's what most games call their PTU, right? So Evocati breaks things on purpose. They try new things that will never make it to any playable game. So take everything with a grain of salt. The PTU is a lot more reliable. Those, really all of us who have access to the PTU, go play it. So it's for the most part what you're going to see in live. I just think it's fun to talk about Evocati builds because of the potential of what is going to release. There's my soapbox. CitizenCon. All right. Again, I'm not going. I'm so sorry. There's a lot of people that have been reaching out saying, hey, what hotel are you staying at? What part of town in Manchester? Like, and they're asking me these questions as if I was like just going to be there regardless, which I appreciate. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, the cost to fly out it's not worth what I'd be giving up, especially that close to Christmas. So CitizenCon 2954, a lot of FAQ drops. Man, I don't know if I want to go line by line, but it's information about Manchester, the actual city, like where it's taking place, what will be the opening, closing times for the event. But here's what you're not getting, right? So you're getting like the types of tickets, right? You're going to have the same as last year. You're going to have like a VIP and you're going to have a general. And I guess just quickly, I'll talk about that quickly. So on April 11th, early access wave to get your tickets starts. April 12th is the general sales. And then on April 11th and 12th, you'll have 3 waves. Wave 1 is at 1600 UTC. Wave 2 is at 0100 UTC. And Wave 3 is at 0800 UTC that next day. So that's your first day. And then the same exact waves for April 12th. 2 different tickets. Same as last year. There's going to be a digital goodies pack. So if you're not going to actually be there, you can still get good stuff, right? How it's going to be delivered. But here's what's not. Here's what's not on this that's kind of bothering me. for a company that should know better. Where are the prices? CIG should know better. And I usually, defend CIG, but as a business, it is bad to be 7 days out and not give us a cost. Not everybody is a space whale. Not everybody has thousands and thousands of dollars invested into this game. Nor, can they budget in a week to get these tickets. And again, these tickets they go fast. It was like $300 for the VIP for last year. So you could assume the same, but that information should absolutely be in here. And so I'll just go one more time and say, shame on CIG. You should absolutely be communicating the finances required to be part of this, because people are having to get flights, they're having to get hotels, they're having to plan for everything, and a big chunk of that is the tickets to get in. So my 2 cents. Here's a caveat to that. It's not a defense, but a caveat. General access tickets were available all year last year. So by the time they went live to the time of the event, you could get yourself a general access. So general access, you have plenty of time. You have plenty of time, no concerns, no worries. It's this VIP. You've got to be ready to spend that money like the second that these go live. All right, I think I'm done here. So within this article that's on CIG's website, there are Spectrum versions. And so let's get into the Spectrum versions real quick. This gets into the community booths. We have to move heavy because I need to get ready for my interview. But this is a community booth application. So if you want to be part of a community booth, here it is. Again, this is Spectrum. So forum categories, announcements, and it's specifically called community booth applications. The next one is volunteers. Like if you want to just volunteer to help serve, whether it's not a booth, but like the merchandise area or basically anything around to help out CIG, the volunteer crew, you can do it here. Last, the cosplay competition, and I have mad respect for those that competed last year at CitizenCon 2953. Amazing uniforms, battery operated. You can see the picture on my screen. People's faces were lit up. I mean, they did a phenomenal job on their costumes. So freaking phenomenal. If you're going to do it, here's the cosplay competition details. Go sign up. Okay, here we go. We are now at Inside Star Citizen Maps and Apps to round out this podcast. So really quick to the article, it just says navigating the verse has never been better. This week's Inside Star Citizen takes a look at the highly anticipated updates to the Moby-Glass and map systems that are headed your way in Alpha 3.23. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead, continue sharing my screen. We're going to get into this. I'm going to try to let it play without responding too much due to the time constraint that I have. So here we go. Enjoy the video. It is one of my best, or one of my favorite Inside Star Citizens, because this will impact your everyday play, regardless of game loop. So here we go.
Never sat in this one before. As Alpha 3.23 continues its journey towards becoming Star Citizen's biggest life in the verse as we know it patch yet, we know lots of folks have patiently waited to see one thing above all others, the MISC Raptor. What? The Moby-Glass and Star map app. The Moby-Glass and newly christened map app.
Arrival complete. Welcome.
So the Moby-Glass is getting a massive visual overhaul for...
Hold on, I think I just saw something. Stand by. All right, that's right. Part-time Hitman CIG, full-time Hitman CIG. I thought I saw something, but the player's character in their Moby-Glass just has this name called Part-time Hitman CIG. So I don't know. I thought it was like a joke or maybe like a hint at something, but let's keep going.
So the Moby-Glass is getting a massive visual overhaul for 323.
The version everyone's been living with for years is, it kind of does the job, but you can see it's dated now.
So the entire Mobiglass is overhauled from what it was before. It's using a new technology that we've built called cards, and we use cards for other UIs throughout the game. For the Mobiglass, it was a big task to convert because it has a lot of apps in it as well. So we need to convert all of those apps over to the new tech in order for the entire thing to be able to release.
So in 3.23, we've got a really big improvement to the user experience. So everything's designed to look nicer and feel nicer.
Ready to upgrade.
And sadly, we haven't really had all the time we needed to get all the apps there. So you are going to recognize the VMA and the Comms app just as they have always been. But with that package, you're getting all the other apps with a visual update and also functionality updates for some of them.
You've got a completely updated home screen, so you can do things like view your ship, you can see your health, notifications. It's kind of the information you really need to see now.
So we're also getting a fully new health app where you can see all the things that's currently affecting your health and all the stats that you would normally see on your HUD.
Over time, we've added all these cool new things that can affect the player. So we're going to have things like radiation. We've got existing stuff like you can break bones. If you heal yourself, you can potentially overdose. You can have drug effects. All this cool stuff is happening, but it wasn't obvious to the player just walking around what was going on under the hood. So we added this new app where you can track all that stuff.
So the health app is going to be the place to go when, for some reason, you're feeling ill and you just need that extra little bit of information of what do I need to do to take care of myself to get out of this situation. So the contract manager has been in the game for a long time, and it's just grown kind of obvious that it's not doing all the things you need it to.
All the functionality is essentially the same internally, but it needed a visual polish, and also the user experience needed bringing up to date. So some new features like you can toggle between illegal missions, you can see what the rewards are going to be ahead of time.
So no more randomly getting attacked by the police, hopefully. It's probably your fault anyway.
Some big improvements coming to the Mobiglass. That's coming in 3.23, but one thing we didn't talk about yet was the star map. We've had the original Star Map in Star Citizen for a long time, so it was overdue for an update.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, like the old Skylink app, it did what it should, but I think it has grown a bit obsolete.
No, death to the old star map!
That's harsh.
No, it needed to die.
The original one just showed the stars and planets and so on, but we wanted to expand on that.
So opening up the star map for the first time in 3.23, you're gonna realize that the star map is not just the star map anymore. It's the everything map.
It's now called Maps app rather than Star Map.
And why did we change it?
Because we now have the interior map, so this shows like your local area, as well as sort of zooming out and showing the star map.
So what is the interior map? It's a bird's eye view of the current environment.
It's a really cool 3D map, so instead of just having a top-down view, this is showing you the actual level.
And it's presented as a fully schematic 3D view in which you can find every relevant point of interest, such as a shop, transit station, hospital, and the like.
You can get them for ships, for landing zones in 3.23. In future, we'll expand on that and add it to more areas.
And if you're not familiar with the location you just arrived to, or you're a new player and you're not familiar with any of them, actually having the spatial awareness of where the things that are relevant to you are is going to provide a giant step up in terms of the experience of the game in general.
As it's fully 3D, you can move around, navigate between floors, zoom in and out, and so on, as you'd expect.
You will see the local area where you're walking around, something you've never been able to do before. Essentially, you'll be able to navigate between all the different rooms and different important areas of the game.
It also offers a way to overlay your own data onto it that is specific to you. So, for example, the location of your mission objective.
That's huge. Yeah, that's huge.
Custom markers.
You can also use it to plot a route to another location on the map. Drop a marker and navigate to it, so we'll see a line on the map that shows you where you can actually go and where the easiest way to get there.
So on that map, you'll be able to just click any room you want to go to. You can go between the different zones of the area, and you can place a little marker and route all the way there.
So navigating is one of the primary use cases we want to make as robust as we can for 323. And so part of that involves providing a variety of fallback cases in order to help you best understand how to get somewhere. So for instance, if we ask the AI system and it can't return you a path via its nav links and nav meshes, we can ask the transit system. And if the transit system says there's a connection between the two zones, then that would help you route.
So at the time of recording, we're having issues loading all the different OCs that's in a big landing zone, for example. So we're looking into these solutions to make sure that you can track from one part to a fully different part of the area.
So Star Map. Star Map is vastly improved. The main thing we wanted to change was make it a nice user experience. So everything in there has been overhauled.
Thank
When
God.
you open your map, you'll first of all be confronted with your local area, so you'll see what room you're in and what's close to you. But you can also zoom out and you will see the universe open up in front of you as you zoom out.
From here, we can see the entire verse. We can see all the planets.
Space stations, Lagrange points,
So
all of that
good.
good stuff. You
So
can
good.
then click on any of those markers and you will be automatically panned and zoomed into them so you can see a little bit more detail about them. If you've zoomed in on a planet, for example, you can zoom in a little bit more and you can start to see the surface locations. So you can see towns, outposts.
You get all the information you need about them. We're adding this new system where you can see all the amenities that are available at that location.
It's so good.
So for outposts, landing zones and stations, there will be a section here for amenities, which will show you things like whether you can buy weapons here, whether you can buy ships here, whether there's a food court, whether there's a hospital or a clinic. All of these sorts of things you'll be able to see on those box outs, so you'll know which is the most appropriate location to go to. We showed in CitizenCon, obviously, that these display much better now, so you'll see them rotate with the map, and if they've gone behind the planet, they fade out, and if they're in front of your view, they're brighter, so you can see them more easily. So at the moment, if you zoom in, it will eventually get too big and you'll go through, but I am currently working on it so that it will zoom in to the surface and you'll never actually sort of clip through the planet.
And generally, we've tried to make it feel like a much more pleasant user experience. So there's things like items don't disappear off the back of the map anymore. Everything's easy to read.
So as always, the star map is what you're going to want to use to route your way through the verse.
You can still set routes as you could in the previous version, but there is a little bit more feedback if there is a problem and you can't set a route, whether you don't have enough fuel or whether it's obstructed.
It's going to be so easy. It's going to be so intuitive for you you click the thing, and there you get the button to say set route. It doesn't always just have the ability to set a route, because you can't always set a route. We will let you know when you can set a route.
There are a few things that are new for this new star map that have not been seen in the old star map. The primary one there would be search. So we now have a
Can't wait.
list of all locations. So there'll be a little drop down in your top left corner. If you open that up, you can see the full list of locations ordered by what is closest to you. And then you can also type any location and it will appear. So you could type, for example, L1 and all of the Lagrange point ones would appear. So this allows you a lot more flexibility to finding what you're looking for when it's not as sort of, immediately right there when you're at the current view. So you can go all the way across the solar system to look at something completely different.
Star Citizen is a massive systemic game. We've got all this cool stuff going on. We've got multiple players doing things at different times. So we wanted to improve the overall interface from the player to that game world. So a big part of that is the new Mobi-Glass.
Finally, we've gone to this effort to refactor and do the whole Mobi-Glass hub from scratch. new maps, new applications. Everything is using new tech, and we have a much more flexible and robust system for the mobiGlas under the hood.
When you're playing Star Citizen, it should be a smooth experience. You shouldn't be stuck trying to find whatever it is you need to find at the moment. We're helping you do that with the new apps, making it easier for you to find your missions or to even just find a place in the verse.
Now that we have that framework in place, then it's kind of the sky's the limit in terms of what we can do with it and how many apps we can develop for it. And it's all using new tech, it's clean, it's the way we want it.
The other big new feature is obviously the Star map with the brand new interior map as well.
Star Citizen is a game about exploring. It is a game about spacefaring. And even so, even when you're not going around in space, it's still about exploring.
Without the Star map, it's really difficult to do that, right? This makes it so much easier to navigate around, to finding what you want and where it is and how to get there.
Overall, it helps the player interact with the world, get to where they want to, do what they want to do more easily and quickly.
Hopefully.
Definitely.
Oh. Yeah, I agree.
So, what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that mobiGlas is finally converted over to building blocks in the new card system, meaning that Flash, as we know it, has pretty much gone to live on a farm upstate. That the conversion sets the stage for the creation of multiple new apps going forward, and that the new internal map and Star map have combined to become simply the Map app. Now, of course, remember that all things you see on ISC are a work in progress, and as any player of Evocati or developer alike may tell you, will continue to iterate between when you see it here and its upcoming release in Alpha 3.23. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you, and we'll see y'all here next week.
Love it. Let's see if I know how to get out of this. There we go. It's not my first podcast. All right. Thank y'all so much for joining me on episode 52. Again, so sorry I missed y'all last week. This is why we've been a year in the podcast and just now hitting episode 52, because I work, and sometimes I work out of town. Next week, we're on for week 53. Pretty sure me and Space Tomato also have something coming up as well. So exciting times going into April, going into Evictus launch week, and hopefully going into patch 3.23. If you'd like to become more or part of the conversation, you can join our socials, all social media platforms at @BTV_cast. You can watch us on YouTube, the video replays on YouTube at /@BTV_cast. You can email us at contact@beyondtheversehq.com. And you can join our in-game organization called Soul Provision at www.robertspaceindustriescom/orgs/provision. I hope this finds everybody well, and until next week, safe travels as you traverse beyond the verse. Take care, everybody.